folks, part of my continuing effort to record videos of me doing all the daily targets from CSSBattle.dev. These are from August 11th, that's the 12th, and that's the 13th of 2024. Let's get right to it. All right, what do we see here? Obviously, we've got some circles and some negative space between them that we've got some really interesting stuff going on there. I found myself today, normally I would do a repeating radial gradient that would be all these and then do the colors between them, but I think today I feel like I'm going to create a shape that's this and then rotate it 45 degrees. So let's see if that's something I can actually do. All right, so we're going to use display flex on the body so that I can make sure that I can center things. So align item center, justify content, center, and to do this properly we need a height or a width. So that's the shape, and I'm going to do this orange as the background, and then I'm going to create to do this. So now I've got the pieces that I need, and then I want to do a rotate 45 degrees. All right, so this is the start. So let's get these numbers right. 10, 120, 30, 40, that's going in the right direction. 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 200. 201, 202, already kind of seeing like, maybe this is not the best way to do this, but we'll go with it. We'll see what we can do. All right, so that's our shape. So the first part of this background is a radial gradient. At 20 pixels, 50%. So I'm doing all of this work. Oh, and I want the word circle here. Orange, and then yellow, and then transparent. So we can see the effects of that. Let's choose some numbers. 20 pixels, 0, 30 pixels, and 0. So those are our color stops. All right, so let's get this first one right. I guess we need to go over more, so that's down this down that angle. How about 25? How about 30? All right, and let's make this bigger. 25, 30, 40, and then we'll put a color in the background so we can see the whole span of this. This is what we got so far. So this number needs to be greater. This is the yellow stripe of that radial gradient. And then that's at 0, 0. And we want to repeat it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 31. So 141 pixels. So that's it's a little bit alarming. Let's do this color as the background. Oh, and interestingly, so here's the problem. Because of this we need to make this sizing different. So this is at 30 pixels right now. We want to not do that. But the width is correct, isn't it? Yes. So if I remove the then it'll now not be at 30 pixels X and 50%, which is the center vertically. Now it's in another position. So now if we alter the X background position, minus 30, 20 pixels, then in theory we can keep incrementing this number backwards 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 40, and get what we need. So here's the problem with that theory. We don't account for these curves. So that's the problem. So this was maybe not a great idea, is the lesson I feel like I'm learning, because I need to do this gradient again for these. So this is where we cut bait and say, nope, not that. And instead of this, we need then probably 202. I don't know. And we need a height on this. Okay. So with some slight adjustments, we get a little bit of this. So do we need to do the reverse of what we did? I think yes. So there's our circle. And then I'm going to put this background color. So here's what we got so far. We got that. So let's do the at. We'll do the at 30 pixels, and then move that into the right place. Oh, and I guess we don't need all this height, do we? We really don't. So let's put the orange into the background, and then let's constrain this a little bit more. 150, 160, 160, 160. That looks pretty good. So now we will say this is at 0, 0, and then 50%, 50%. So that gets us some circles. Not exactly the circles we want, but close-ish. So because I've chosen this background to be 50, choosing the right size of this will get us what I want, I think. So 80 pixels, 80 pixels. If I increase the size of this, how about 100 by 100? And there it is. So I have better what I want. So now I'm going to put this color here as the backdrop, and then I'm going to have transparent, the middles of these circles to be transparent. And here we see that this background is covering itself because of our at here. So we'll do the same thing again. We'll say we don't want the at, and now we'll use background position to put these into place. Minus 20 pixels, minus 20 pixels. And that gives us a lot of what we want. More of what we want. So how do we do that? Do we need a vertical or a 45-degree line? So linear gradient. 45 degrees. Red, blue, yellow. That's how we get that. All right, so I would like to see blue only, and we'll actually do the real color. And the reason I'm doing those ridiculous colors is so I can really see when I make an error. We're going to replace those. So let's do 20%, 0, 30, 31, 32, 33. So it's a third over, and then let's call that one 67%, and then 0. It's looking pretty good. So we'll replace those ridiculous colors with transparent. And do we have a match? Let's submit and find out. That's a 100% match. So now we can do a little optimization here. We don't want to use flex. We don't want to use any of that. Let's put margins on this guy to move it. So 40, 80, 70, 120, 125, 150, 13, 12, 112. All right. And this is not, oh, I don't want the rotate. Oh, and I don't need this trailing semicolon. Let's submit that and see if we've got, make sure we've still got it. I think we do. So yeah, this is just far simpler. We'll minify and unit replace and resubmit. Not a bad solution. I do think that there'd be a way to do this, but I can't think of it right now. Also could do, there are different ways to do this guy. We could create an element and then a box shadow with this might be one of the better ways to do it. But it's fine. We got 100%. I won't think about it too much. All right, next. All right, we got this number 1, which is a pretty straightforward set of shapes. So let's use, we'll use the nested template for this one. And so we're going to replace yellow with this green. And then this color with this. And then I'm going to use margins to constrain this to cover, just cover the yellow parts of this. 4, 5, 6. Aha. So this is a different number. 60. 63, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then this is a little less. 59, 58, 57. And then this number, 100, 120. Oh, and then these are all different numbers. 121, 122. So this, so 122, I'll do the verbose margin sizes, and then 130 to 140, 141, 142. All right, so we got that so far. So how do we make this shape? I think it's a conic gradient. And it's from 180 degrees. And actually, that's a lot of characters. Let's do yellow to 50%, which is this part, and then transparent 75%, and then yellow again. That's that shape. And we need an at to put that in the right place. 10 pixels, 10 pixels, comma. So we need to move it over 20, 30, 40, and then down. That's the center of that conic gradient. 7, 8, 80. There we go. And then to make the little scalloped edge, or yeah, scalloped little cutout, radial gradient. The circle at 0, 0, green, and transparent. And you can see the effect of that now. You just need a number, 20 pixels. And then those are our color stops. And that's got to be bigger, 30, 40. And that's how we do that shape. A fun little number 1. I like that. All right. And that's totally satisfactory. We unit replace and minify and resubmit. And that's a pretty terse set of code to accomplish that task. And this is awfully similar. I think, again, I'll use the nested template, which is, again, the HTML tag and then the body tag. So this encloses this. So HTML tag and body, that's what these selectors represent. They could be HTML and body. but because it's code golf, we do as little code as we can. So that's how we do that. All right. So I think what we want is a border to constrain this, but so our margins will constrain this further. 30 and 100, 110, 115. And then for contrast, we need to actually do the proper color. And so this would be what, 31, 32, 6, 7. And the reason for the oddnesses of those numbers is because of the default margins of 8 pixels that are on the body. All right, so the first step is going to be, I think we want a border. So let's clobber the whole thing. Border, 10 pixels solid. And there you can kind of see what I'm getting at. 10 pixels, 20, 30 pixels. And then it's a matter of a background. Background is a conic gradient of that color, and then transparent. So that's what that conic gradient looks like by default. We need an at value, and we need color stop. So in this case, it's 90 degrees and 0 to get that hard edge, which is, I always do 25% because it's slightly less code. And we do an at. That at defaults to 50%, 50%. Right? So let's, it moves over. So let's try 60%. 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66%. And then, and the reason for percent is because it's less characters. 60, 61, 62, 63, 62. So if I submit this, it's probably going to be 99.9%. I hope. And it is 99.9%. And so we're going to be better off with different units. I would love to be able to do that percentage there because I can remove even more spaces. But so let's do 50Q, 100Q, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6Q. That looks actually pretty clean. And then how about 100 pixels, 110, no, 70, 75, what was it, 60? 60 pixels. That's fine. And that's how we do this L shape. I believe that's going to get us 100%. If it doesn't, we have more work to do. If not, we're done. And there it is. So we unit replace, which I don't have anything, and then we minify. Click. And we've got one more optimization we can make there. And that's how you get that shape out of the HTML tag and the body tag on an element. And that's a better score than I've gotten in the past. So that's a fun one. Fun series from August of 2024. Once again, that's the 11th, 12th, and 13th. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Make a web page. CSS and HTML are awesome. Bye-bye.